the most important person in this world is my daughter. You are so much more. You are so much more than even you know.
Christina Applegate just lost everything. Her final TV role is done. Her last movie cancelled. She can't work anymore because of a disease that's destroying her body. But the real scandal isn't her illness. It's what happened decades ago that nobody knew about. The abuse, the predators, the choices she made as a child. Her upcoming memoir promises to reveal trauma that will shock even her biggest fans. Some secrets were never meant to stay buried. Christina Applegate was born on November 25, 1971 in Hollywood. Her father was a record producer. Her mother was a singer and actress, but her parents split up soon after she was born. Her life in show business began before she could even remember. When she was just 3 months old, she appeared on the soap opera Days of Our Lives with her mother. Nancy Pretty couldn't afford babysitters, so she took Christina to auditions and performances. Sometimes the baby was coaxed on stage with M&Ms while her mother acted. Most children her age were still learning to talk, but Christina had already joined the Screen Actors Guild by the time she was in kindergarten. At only 5 months old, she was in a Playx baby bottle commercial. It wasn't just cute, it was how her single mother kept them afloat. Christina's earliest memories weren't about cartoons or toys. They were about being on set, hearing stage directions, and waiting for the next scene. Nancy briefly dated musician Stephen Stills, who once gave Christina a guitar she kept for years. That world was all she knew. She wasn't just a child in Hollywood, she was surviving in it. By age 9, Christina made her film debut in a strange horror movie called Jaws of Satan. It was about snakes possessed by the devil attacking a town in Alabama. Christina played the daughter of a businessman, and the film was so obscure it barely got released. Still, it marked her jump from baby commercials to serious acting. She moved on to TV shows like Charles in Charge and Silver Spoons. In 1986, she won a Young Artist Award for her role in Heart of the City. Most kids spent their afternoons at the park. Christina spent hers learning lines and shooting scenes. But behind the success was something deeply painful. When Christina was 8, a neighborhood boy called her fat. It was just one word, but it hit her hard. She later said that single moment started a long battle with food and self-worth. At 15, right as she landed the role of Kelly Bundy in Married with Children, her mother enrolled her in Weight Watchers. Christina stopped eating properly. Some days she would eat only 5 almonds. If she ate 6, she would cry and stay home. Her mother didn't seem to understand the damage. When Christina dropped to 110 labs, Nancy simply asked, "How'd you do it?" In 1987, Christina got the role that would make her famous. At just 15, she became Kelly Bundy, the blonde daughter in Fox's bold new sitcom. The show ran for 11 seasons and helped Fox grow into a major network. It was crude funny, and unlike anything else on TV. Christina's version of the dumb blonde became iconic. Her lines, often called Kellyisms, turned into fan favorites. But while she made millions laugh, she was silently starving herself. Her eating disorder lasted for decades. She never talked about it in public until 2024. That year, she opened up on her podcast with Jamie Lynn Sigler. She said the pressure to be thin was so intense she just stopped eating. She wanted her bones to show. For years, no one knew. She looked fine on camera, but inside she was breaking. Even now, she struggles with mirrors. She writes notes on the glass just to avoid breaking down. Christina Applegate's first big movie role came when she was just 19, but things didn't go the way anyone hoped. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead opened in theaters in 1991 and barely made a splash, landing at number 6 with just $4.2 million on its first weekend. In total, it earned only $25.1 million. Christina didn't even want to do the film in the first place. She was still working on Married with Children at the time and didn't think much of commercial films. She later admitted she acted like she was above it all, even calling herself a freaking ass hat for being so difficult on set. But despite its weak box office and poor reviews, the film slowly found an audience. People started renting it on VHS and watching reruns on cable. Over time, it became a cult favorite. Even when critics didn't see her potential, viewers connected with her performance. By 1998, her long-running TV show had ended, and Christina knew she had to make bold moves. She was 26 and ready to prove herself as more than just Kelly Bundy. That year, she chose 2 films that couldn't have been more different. One was the big hit, where she played opposite Mark Wahlberg in a wild, action-packed comedy. The other was Mafia, a full-on spoof where she played a mobster's fiancée. Neither film was a major blockbuster, but that wasn't the point. She was breaking away from her old image. These roles were her first real leap into adult parts, and they showed the industry that she could handle edgier, more complex characters. It was a careful, smart shift, and it worked. In 2002, she took things even further with The Sweetest Thing. The chemistry between her and Cameron Diaz was so natural, people thought they had known each other for years. Critics didn't exactly love the film. Roger Ebert even said it wasn't a good movie, but admitted that the way Christina Diaz and Selma Blair threw themselves into it made it hard not to admire. The film was meant to be a female version of There's Something About Mary with the same kind of wild humor and the top scenes. For Christina, it was a turning point. Audiences finally saw her not just as a sidekick, but as a romantic lead. The industry took notice too. That on-screen connection with Diaz led to new offers and more roles that let her step into the spotlight. Then came Anchorman in 2004. Christina played Veronica Corningstone, a TV anchor based on real-life journalist Jessica Savage. This was the role that gave her another iconic character, this time on the big screen. Working alongside Will Ferrell and his comedy team, she held her own in a movie built on improvisation. A lot of the scenes weren't even in the script. Her timing, delivery, and confidence turned Veronica into more than just a character. She became a symbol of how far Christina had come. When Anchorman 2 came out in 2013, nearly a decade later, fans welcomed her back instantly. She had grown from a young sitcom star into a fearless performer who could shape her roles and stand toe-to-toe with anyone on screen. Christina Applegate always dreamed of performing on Broadway. In 2005, that dream finally came true when she took the lead role in the revival of Sweet Charity at the Al Hirschfeld Theatre. The show opened on May 4th and ran for 79 performances until December 31st. Her performance as Charity Hope Valentine earned her a Tony Award nomination for Best Actress in a musical, along with a Drama Desk nomination and a Theatre World Award. Critics were amazed at how she moved from comedy television to musical theatre. For someone who had trained in dance since childhood, this role felt like everything she had worked toward. But the road to Broadway was far from smooth. The show had a rough three-city preview tour starting on January 25th in Minneapolis, then moving through Chicago and Boston. The physical demands of the show were intense. The choreography was complex, the energy non-stop. Still, Applegate was determined to push through it all. Then came the night that changed everything. On March 11th, during a Friday night show in Chicago, Applegate broke the fifth metatarsal bone in her right foot. It happened in the opening minutes, but she kept going for another 20 minutes until the pain forced her to stop. Her understudy had to finish the performance. At first, producers said the show wouldn't go on to Broadway. But just 2 days later, Applegate convinced producer Barry Weisler to keep it alive. She was too passionate to let it end there. When she returned on April 18th, she wore special ankle-length tan medical boots to support her injury. These boots became a part of her look on stage. They were necessary, but they also served as a reminder of what the show was costing her. She kept dancing through the pain. She didn't want to give up, but her body was sending a different message. The damage to her foot turned out to be permanent. In 2013, Applegate admitted that she couldn't dance anymore. She said it with sadness because she had always hoped to return to Broadway. Dancing had been a part of her life since she was a child. That one injury ended it all. It changed the way she thought about her career. Though she sometimes danced when she could, the kind of physically demanding roles she once loved were now out of reach. The Tony nomination she received was an honor, but it also hurt. It showed that she had truly arrived on Broadway, but it came after the injury that ended her dancing future. On opening night, her co-star Dennis O'Hare gave her flowers and told the audience how much she had earned her place on that stage. His words captured the struggle and courage it had taken for her to get there. Christina Applegate's marriage to Jonathan Shage looked like a dream. They had been together since 1997 and got married on October 20, 2001 in Palm Springs. Everyone thought it would last, but something wasn't right behind the scenes. By December 2005, it was finalized in August 2007. Christina kept both Los Angeles homes and a Lexus. Shai left with a Mercedes and a Buddha statue. Neither asked for support, but what came after was even sadder. Shai said he fell into a dark place. He turned to alcohol, drugs, and casual sex. He felt like God had abandoned him. Their 6-year relationship ended not with anger, but with silence and regret. Less than a year after the divorce, Christina faced something even worse. Her ex-boyfriend Lee Grievous died alone in his Hollywood apartment. He was only 26. The cause was a heroin overdose. A syringe was found near his body. He had died on June 29, 2008, just 1 month before turning 27. Christina had started seeing him around 2005 or 2006 while her marriage was falling apart. He had been a fisherman in Alaska before becoming a photographer. Their relationship ended because of his drug problems. He had battled addiction since he was a teenager in New York. He got kicked out of school for marijuana and later tried cocaine and other substances. They briefly reconnected in April 2008, but by the time he died, they were no longer together. Christina was heartbroken. She called him an incredible person and said he would be missed beyond words. Then came the news that changed her life forever. In August 2008, Christina was diagnosed with breast cancer. She was just 36. It was caught early during a routine MRI. She had no symptoms, but she had been getting checked since she was 30. Her mother, Nancy Pretty, had survived breast cancer twice. Tests showed Christina carried the BRCA1 gene mutation. This meant her lifetime risk of breast cancer was up to 87%. Her risk of ovarian cancer was 44%. Faced with these numbers, Christina didn't wait. Even though cancer was only found in one breast, she chose to have both removed. She said she didn't want to keep going back for tests every few months. She wanted peace of mind. The decision shocked many people. She was only 36. She was a well-known actress. Her career had always included her appearance, but she did what she thought was best. A month later, she was declared 100% cancer-free. She didn't need chemo or radiation. The surgery had worked, but it wasn't easy. She later admitted there were moments she cried and screamed. She tried to keep her humor alive, joking that she'd have the best boobs in the nursing home. But underneath the jokes, the pain was real. In 2009, she did something powerful with that pain. She started a charity called Right Action for Women. It helps women who are at high risk for breast cancer get the MRI screenings they need. Many of these screenings aren't covered by insurance. The charity has raised millions. In one deal with Essex, the company pledged at least $100,000 to help fund more screenings. Christina turned her worst moment into something that could save lives, and she's kept going even when it hurt. Christina Applegate's return to television after Married with Children started with a bold move. In 1998, she starred in Jessie, a sitcom where she played a single mother, juggling her job at her father's German-themed bar and trying to build a better life. The show aired at the same time as her final seasons as Kelly Bundy, meaning she was playing two wildly different women on TV. For the first time, she earned a Golden Globe nomination. The show only lasted 42 episodes, but it showed the world she was more than just a teenager with one-liners. She won the People's Choice Award for Favorite Female Performer and proved she could carry a series. Her character's struggles felt personal, like Applegate herself was trying to break free from the shadow of her early fame. Then came a surprising twist. In 2002, she appeared on Friends as Rachel's shallow sister Amy. She had never seen the show before walking on set, but her performance was unforgettable. She returned again in 2003 and ended up winning an Emmy for it. Years later, in 2024, she admitted on her podcast that she had only just started watching Friends 20 years after filming it, and couldn't believe she once won an Emmy for a show she hadn't even seen. She joked that it didn't feel like work, and yet it became one of her most memorable roles. In 2007, she took more control over her career with Samantha Who, a show about a woman who loses her memory and has to figure out who she really is. Applegate didn't just star in it. She was also an executive producer. It earned her 2 Golden Globe nominations and 2 Emmy nominations. The show became a symbol of personal transformation, with a character forced to rebuild herself after everything she knew was erased. At the time, no one knew how close this story would hit home for Applegate years later. The series ran for 35 episodes and earned her a People's Choice Award for Favorite Female TV Star in 2008. But real life wasn't always as polished. In 2012, Applegate and her husband Martin Lenable were targeted by a stalker. The messages were violent and terrifying. One tweet said, "You stole Christina away from me. I'm going to kill you." Another threatened to blow his head off. The threats were so serious that the LAP obtained a search warrant for Twitter just days after they began. The account was deleted, but the stalker was never found. Applegate already had a young daughter at the time. The experience forced her to increase security around her home. It wasn't the first time something like this happened. Someone had once broken in and tried on her clothes. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 2021, during the filming of the final season of Dead to Me, Applegate was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Looking back, she realized the first sign had come years earlier. While shooting the pilot, she fell while running but brushed it off. As filming continued, her health declined fast. She had to be taken to set in a wheelchair. Simple things like opening a door became impossible, but she pushed through and finished the season. "I found out on a Monday after work that I had MS," she later said, "a disease I'm going to have for the rest of my life." Her honesty about the disease shocked everyone. "I don't enjoy living," she confessed. "I don't enjoy things anymore." She described her life as living in hell. She gained 40 pounds. She now needs a cane to walk and fears falling in the shower. Holding a phone, opening bottles, or even standing up in the morning can be overwhelming. Sometimes she just gives up and stays in bed. Her world shrank down to her home, and she barely leaves it anymore. Things got worse in 2023 when she ate a salad at a restaurant she trusted and contracted sepovirus. It caused days of intense sickness. She described it in painfully graphic detail: diarrhea, dizziness, vomiting while trying to collect a stool sample. She learned the virus came from ingesting someone else's fecal matter. At one point, she woke up in a pool of her own waste without realizing it. She had to wear adult diapers. She told People magazine she had been to the emergency room more than 30 times because of stomach and intestinal issues. The pain and vomiting seemed never-ending. Finally, in 2023, she made a heartbreaking announcement. She said she didn't see herself working in front of a camera again. Waking up at 5:00 a.m. and working 12-hour days just wasn't possible anymore. She made one last appearance at the Screen Actors Guild Awards and called it her final awards show. But she's not giving up completely. She plans to do voiceover work to support her daughter and keep working in some way. One of those projects includes reprising Kelly Bundy in an animated Married with Children series. Christina Applegate has always been known for her strength and sense of humor, but in June 2024, she let the world see something else. On her podcast, she quietly admitted something that left listeners stunned. She said she was in a depression so deep that even getting coffee or going for a walk felt pointless. She didn't try to dress it up. She simply said, "I don't enjoy living." After decades in the spotlight, this was the most vulnerable she had ever been. Later that year, things got worse. In November 2024, she opened up about what living with multiple sclerosis really felt like. She wasn't vague. She said she lay in bed screaming from sharp pain. She couldn't pick up her phone. She couldn't open a bottle. Her hands had given out. During that same podcast, a fellow MS sufferer described the pain as knives in the stomach. Christina didn't even try to soften the blow. She just said, "It's the worst." 2 weeks after her mental health confession, headlines exploded with rumors about suicide watch. That wasn't true, and she quickly cleared it up. She said she was never on suicide watch and never had been, but she explained that speaking honestly about mental health was healing. It helped take away the shame. She knew the media had twisted her words, but she wasn't going to apologize for being open. By early 2023, her body had changed in ways she couldn't ignore. She had gained 40 lbs due to her medications and being inactive. The woman once known for her dancing now used a cane. She said she didn't feel like herself anymore. Watching herself on the final season of Dead to Me was painful. She couldn't get through it all in one sitting. She wanted people to know she was aware of what they saw, but they didn't know what she was going through inside. Then came the night of the 2024 election. Donald Trump had just beaten Kamala Harris. Christina went online and posted something that lit up social media. She told anyone who voted against women's or disability rights to unfollow her. She said her daughter was sobbing. She said she was shutting down her fan account. When someone made a sexist comment, she didn't hold back. She replied with pure rage. But the internet doesn't forget. By the next morning, she tried to apologize. She said she was sobbing, not angry anymore, and just wanted to watch Bravo shows. But for many fans, the damage was already done. A few months later, in January 2025, wildfires tore through Los Angeles. Christina, still reeling from the election, exploded again. On her podcast, she slammed people who said Hollywood deserved it. She defended her city. She said most of LA was made up of regular people, not celebrities. Her co-host tried to calm her down, but Christina wasn't in the mood. She said she was done being quiet. That podcast sparked another round of online backlash. Some said they supported her. Others said they were done with her. But Christina wasn't slowing down. In March 2026, her memoir You with the Sad Eyes is set to come out. It promises to reveal trauma she has never talked about: abuse, body issues, abandonment. She started acting when she was 3. That means there are years of stories the public has never heard. She said the book won't be dramatic for drama's sake. It will just be honest. She said it's scary, but it's time. She had one more chance to return to the role that made her famous. An animated version of Married with Children was in development. It would have brought the Bundy family back to life with all the original cast. Christina was set to return through voice acting, the only kind of work she could still do. But in July 2025, the project was cancelled. The studio left the door open, but for now, Kelly Bundy is gone. In 2023, Christina stepped into a new role. She showed up to the Emmys with a cane and made the world look at disability without looking away. She argued for accommodations behind the scenes. She told producers she needed help getting dressed and support on set, and they listened. Years earlier, she had survived breast cancer. Now she was using her voice for others with MS cancer or anyone who felt invisible.